Good morning, Joe.
Yo, yo, yo.
I think you're like Alec Baldwin. You are, I think you hold the dubious honor of being the most hosted expert on this show.
Am I the Five Timers Club?
Yeah, you're in the five timers.
Well, no,
Isn't it Alec Baldwin who's like the top
yeah,
one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So you're my Alec Baldwin.
He was the guy that did sweaty balls.
You're my Joe. I'd like to think of you as my sweaty balls. That's
There
what
you go.
So I want to jump right into it because if folks in Brand DIY don't know Joe already, you are a sales and performance coach.
Yep.
And you and I got to know each other because we were both working at Royal Roads University, helping them out with their marketing and sales departments and
Yep.
teaching. And then we fell in together and we figured out this methodology of brand to sales, which is brand people are always in an ivory tower and they don't get any real-time feedback from salespeople. So how do you get that happening? And then how do you get the salespeople actually using the brand stuff as opposed to going, yeah, screw you, we're going to invent all our own stuff.
Absolutely.
So we figured out this methodology, this virtuous cycle. And then we just kept working on projects and stuff like that now. But I wanted to talk to you because you are onto a cool new project, and we're going to talk about the robot and how that ties into culture inside a company and how that ties into building an internal brand and making something so people inside the company are really happy, which then radiates outward.
For sure.
So talk to me about the robot.
Well, you know what? Before I do that, I just kind of want to preface it. We're in a cool spot right now. I mean, when you and I met, it was because you'd been doing some really good branding work with a company, and you said, I need your eyeballs on this from a sales perspective. And the challenge you had is you'd done some really, really good branding and marketing work and built some great messaging. And the salespeople push back, which is absolutely a natural thing that salespeople do. And so you needed some insight on like what's going on with these sales guys. And so we looked at it. We were able to really go through that and build some better feedback loops and build something where they go, okay, they're not victims of this thing. Because you and I both know, the boardrooms that we go into as sales and marketing leaders, we're naturally pitted against each other, cats and dogs. That's the whole system. I don't have enough leads. Well, sales can't convert anyways. And so they're always fighting.
And you know what's wild about that too, is that I never even thought of that until you pointed it out. And then I started talking to clients, large and small, and they're like, "Oh yeah."
Every time.
And you're going, "Wait a minute, you're Procter and Gamble."
Right?
and they got the same problem.
Yeah, and it's because we look at the world differently. We have different perspectives, but the same goals. So it really comes down to a communication issue. Okay, what are you trying to do? What am I trying to do? And I'm actually the client that I'm working with right now. We're going to talk about. We're in the middle of. I came on as a sales coach to help him do more sales. And as we were doing that, we actually needed more branding work as well. That's why we brought you in to do some of this stuff as well. But the beauty of it is getting out of your own sort of misplaced ego that we know everything. So we create some branding ideas, stuff that conceptually thinks it makes sense. And now we go and hit the ground running and saying, hey, we go to people that could potentially give us money and say, what do you think of this? And they go, hey, that's cool. Or they go, man, I don't get that. That doesn't make sense. We go, great. We keep our ego out of it and reiterate. So we're right now reiterating this message and we're sharing with people, and our slide decks and our pitch decks and our messaging and our emails are changing on the fly. And we're going back upstream to marketing and saying, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This isn't connecting. We reframe some things. And so as a salesperson, I mean, that's one thing that I see happening a lot is people go and they want to do their unique value proposition, their 30-second pitch, their elevator pitch, whatever the hell you want to call it. And they go out, they take all this time like a marketing person would, and they do it in a bubble. And then they go out and just say it to everybody forever. And they do it for years and they never stop and think, is this working? And then they go, this person's not interested. I'm like, well, no, you're not interesting. And we talk about being a salesy weirdo, and that's what ends up happening. But so the biggest mission we have right now is removing any attachment to the result of the thing that you think is smart. So you go out and you try it and see how quickly you can get them to like that, And if it takes half an hour, the next one is, how do I get that to 25 minutes? How do I get that more succinct to 20 minutes? How do I get them to be like, whoa, in 5 minutes? If we can do that, that's part of the iterative process. And that's what a lot of people aren't doing in sales. And they're not actually informing marketing. So they just keep blaming marketing for sending them dog shit leads, right?
Yeah. You know what I love about this new product? And Basix, it's called Basix.ai, and I'll
Yeah.
link them in the brand DIY thing, because Jay, the founder, is one of the coolest dudes.
Yeah.
The absolute not sales guy, who is a sales monster.
He's a beast.
It's unbelievable. And you talk to him, and it's like you're talking to some sort of Buddhist monk.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're not a sales guy.
Yeah.
Turns out he is.
That's the thing, right? One of the things. So just to preempt that, is we're in the mission right now to restore balance in sales teams and the sales workload. We're looking at people, process, technology, those three things. And what we've found is like the people side of sales has really been like pushed down very, very far. Salespeople are focused on so much activity, so much technology, so much process that they're forgetting there's a person on the other side. I've worked with a lot of sales teams, and I go in, the first thing we're looking at is that process. I'm like, well, wait, how many people are you actually talking to? How many people are you adding value to? How many conversations are you asking better questions, sharing insights, moving the needle? And it's not, it's a tough market out there. And so what I see, and anybody that is watching this, you probably get an email or a text message or whatever from some sales rep that they send you some email that's okay, or a LinkedIn message that you're like, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
And it's very like inauthentic, right? And you go, okay, well, what's this? And then next thing you know, you're getting bombarded with messages that really aren't about you. They're not about your world, your business. They might have just a kick-ass offer, but it doesn't help you. So they do 20 things to you before they give up. And then they go to their boss, hey, look, I'm selling. These people aren't interested. So we're trying to fly in the face of that and say, hey, let's get technology and process out of the way by using, machine learning and intelligent process automation, so that people can just be people and the system can take care of the rest.
Now, you're too far inside the animal. I got to bring this back to the outside, because what blew me away about Basix when I started working on it was a really big global concept. Bureaucracy has grown and grown and grown all the time. I've got stats on this, and I'm putting this in another pitch for another person that I'm working with. Just how bureaucracy has grown. So things, people were managing other people to do their tasks. There used to be a lot of people doing tasks and a few people managing them. And then what happened? It got more complex. So they called in another layer of managers, and layers of managers started to stack up, creating more bureaucracy. And then we introduced technology, which is sales and CRM and all those wonderful things, saying it's going to make your life so much easier. It didn't. It's like the Gardner curve, where you've got this high expectation, something is going to save you. And then I love this term, the trough of disillusionment, where everybody realizes it just adds another layer of complexity. And eventually people figure it out and start working with it, by which time they've got another new thing to hammer them. So this global thing, we've got so much bureaucracy now, so few people actually doing stuff, that everybody's upset. And what I loved about Basix is that they've taken that technology and made it a servant of the people, as opposed to another layer of bureaucracy. And that it took me a while to wrap my head around what made
it's so tough, right? Good. It's a tough, the challenge we're having with it. This is why it's fun for me as a sales coach, is to see how we can get people to understand what it is, because people haven't seen it before. And so they're saying, oh, that's like this, right?
Yeah.
So anybody that's listening, if you're going into your business, into your market, they go, oh, you're like these people. If you're not, you have to do a better job of introducing it. So what we're trying to do is create a new category. And right now, if you think about like the levels of software in sales, at the basic level, you've got your CRMs, Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, all these things at high level. You can do all these things that you need to do. So salespeople still have to go in and enter all the things, and it's task-based, rule-based. You can have some automation and workflow stuff. But then on the next level, we call it sort of the CRM plus, which is like sales enablement, more automation, more blueprinting. There's lots of things that you can do, but you need a bit of more of an infrastructure. You need smart people. You need, like you said, more bosses. You need IT support. You can do a lot of the things you need to do using these high level tools, but the integrations across them, all the stuff that you need to do to make it work, plus having sales process, being able to have people follow the sales process. Like I know as a coach, I can go in and I can teach you guys some amazing contact strategies. The moment I leave, how many people start following it, how many people go back to bad habits, and how many people consistently do it and then test it and improve it over time. It's a function of changing habits. We do a lot of stuff on habit changing. Trying to change people's basic habits is a losing game in the sales, coaching, and the leadership world. So we said, well, what if we created a new category that we didn't have to try and change people who they fundamentally are? And we created technology that supported what they were doing, learned from what they did, reinforce those best practices, and just put the right things in front of them. So the software is not something that you should even think about. So rather than, what can we do inside of this thing? What can we do once it's there? So we're focusing more on the potential, like phase 2. So we want to equalize sales teams and get process and tech out of the way, so you don't have to think about it. Now you can do more coaching. Now you can be more leadership, training, methodology. You can try new stuff. The technology and process is now out of the way.
Again, I'm going to pull it back, just put it in real simple English, because it is a mind-blowing concept. Technology, when it came in with a CRM, it used to be, okay, you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and you tick this box, and you tick this box, and then magic, profit. But what happened is people started getting obsessed with ticking all the boxes. So they spend all their day ticking boxes and not actually getting anything done.
Yeah.
You talk about it. You have a great term, which is they're doing things right as opposed to doing the right things. Yeah. The right thing is to sell stuff or to build a better company. And doing things right means you're ticking all the boxes so you get a ribbon at the end of the day, but you're a failure.
Yeah.
And the company is dismal.
Difference between being effective and efficient, right? So what we looked at, that's what I see is people go, oh, well, we need to solve that problem. So we're going to add one more feature. We're going to add one more thing. We're just going to have you do one more small thing. But they never think about, that's always an additive mentality and not subtractive. So this thought process is not just a software. It's a thought process of how do we take stuff off your plate? How do we allow you to do more of the things that matter and less of the stuff that you shouldn't be doing? What can we automate that you don't need to be doing? And how can we do it so that you don't have to be the one driving the system? The system can drive itself by using AI, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all that stuff, right?
And you know what? I think there's a bigger lesson here, which is for entrepreneurs, it can start with one person. I know it happens to me. How much do you actually do? Question yourself. How much do you actually do that makes gravy for your company? And how much do you do because it's nice to feel busy?
Yeah.
Because busy is safe.
Yeah.
I know that if I tick off boxes, it'll take half my day and I'll feel like I've accomplished something.
Well, it's funny, like one of the things we were talking about a lot is like the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle, is we think it's just like, it's a travesty in sales to say that, only 20% of these guys are going to do well. The reason that is because either they are, crazy workhorses, usually that's not the case, or they're like outlaws. They're just doing it in spite of the system that's in front of them. Most salespeople that hire high performers work outside of the CRM. And then they kind of hold you hostage because you don't know what they're doing. They're these high level knowledge workers that they're not documented. Their standard, the SOPs aren't there. They can't reinforce that training to the rest of the team. So you have to just accept that some people are way better than others. And the rest of the people are part of this sort of the matrix, right?
And the problem with the high performers is that they can hold you hostage.
Yeah.
Because you lose them, suddenly you've lost your quarterback. And you're like, oh no.
And the rest of the team doesn't know what they're doing because they're busy selling, right? So that's kind of the mission, is to say, why do we accept that? How do we, and I know from, I've been in sales 20 years. I know I could take a B-level player and make them, at least start to compete with those A levels by focusing on process, by getting them super dialed into what they do every single day, something they can repeat over and over, even if it's not a perfect process. The fact that they're repeating things, almost making sales somewhat boring, is something that will outcompete the A players and put the pressure on them. And so we've done that over and over and over. So now imagine you have all these like mid-range B players that you just put them into a system that allows process to take over. You all of a sudden now have, instead of an 80-20 rule, you got 80-80 rule. You got like 80% of your workforce is really efficient, and you can then focus on the people management side. And that's really kind of the mission that I've had, is anytime I go in, if process is broken, I can help you with process. Right. And so now, I
love this idea. Now we have to get really clear on what Basix does, which is mind-blowing. Is you and I, we call it a butler. And what it is, instead of you being bossed around by the machine telling you, hey, hand in this form, check off that box. What happens is the machine fades into the background, learns who you are, learns what you do and figures out all the things you do that get good results and all the things you do that get bad results. And then what it does, it says, I'm just going to quietly clear away all the bad stuff
Yeah.
and only feed you stuff that makes you look like a rock star.
Yeah.
And that's what this machine does. And so the machine is artificial intelligence and machine learning applied for the powers of good, because it makes our lives less complicated so
Yeah.
we can focus on people. Now, you had a slide which is sums up how much time is actually spent by companies when they're in a normal company versus when they have this system working behind them. It was like a pie chart or something like that.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
that?
You want to show? You want me to show it?
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's do it. Let's do that. I'll just show you. We're working on a slide deck right now, an ebook. But this is really, I mean, the three things we're looking at is the people, process, technology, right? And our whole mission here, like I said, is to rebalance this. So right now, this is what we're seeing. This is what I see a lot is sales people are spending less time being people. They're spending a lot of time in process, a lot of time in technology. And so what they're doing is I see, we're focusing on activity. It's like, send 15 emails, make all these calls, bombard your market, go. And then you use, or technology. Let's do mass emails. Let's do this. Let's use all these tools. Let's be all places at all times. But then when we're trying to connect with people, we don't know how to do it. So our mission here is almost like, just get this out of the way. What happens if? So we don't, not what happens like when you're using our stuff, but what happens if, what happens when? So now you're on the other side of it. Imagine if you spent more time on building questions, building insights, building better presentation skills, being able to connect with your market, looking at strategic opportunities, going after new product development. There's a lot of stuff we can do with that. Right?
Now hold on a minute, because this isn't a sales thing. This is a brand thing as well. Our my favorite douchebag, Gary V. He just the other day got dragged through the mud. I mean, God bless him. He says a lot of smart stuff, but his whole philosophy of you have to put out 60 pieces of content a day is the top circle, because you're going, what's the idea? There's no idea. Just 60 pieces of content. Just run real fast. It's like the underpant gnomes, right? Step 1, steal all the underpants. Step 2, step 3, profit. There's no thinking. Absolutely. Because there's no time to think, because you're putting out 60 pieces of content. And Gary V got skewered 4 or 5 days ago, beginning of the week, by putting out this piece of content that said your ultimate marketing strategy. It was him in the background holding up a piece of paper. It says the ultimate marketing strategy. On the piece of paper, it says care. And people are like, care? That's the ultimate marketing strategy? You are such a douchebag. You jumped the shark, man. Your need to put out so much content has actually lapped your ability to think.
I love it.
And that's what happens in corporations, whether it's brand or sales or whatever. We lose our humanity, our ability to sit down, put our legs up and think about a problem, because we're so busy ticking off boxes.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, with this, this is new in the sales world. Like we look at where, like, what we're focusing on here is intelligent process automation, really, is this. So this is where Basic fits in. A lot of like CRMs, a lot of enablement tools. Basics is in here in the intelligence side, where it's constantly thinking. But it's not new in industry. We've just been downloading a lot of guides. Like IBM has a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things like claims management. But with sales, the whole question is, what happens when we remove some of these things? What happens if we take this off your plate? And we kind of then start to visualize this isn't a software play. It's more of, so these slides aren't finished, but we're more of like a digital workforce play. We're creating this person, this robot that's there to help you sell. He's not taking your jobs. He's not doing anything to take stuff away from you, but he's taking stuff off your shoulders, and he's taking the stuff off the shoulders of the reps and putting it back in the hands of the companies. So this allows you to scale. So now, instead of trying to hire these unicorn salespeople that fill all of these roles from, assistant to manager to analyst to, tester, all these things, now you just hire people that are really good at talking to people. You can hire, a 70-year-old guy. They've got one guy named Gene on one of their clients' list that he's just focused on selling. And so we started thinking about what's the org chart look like, and this is what they're using. Basics works inside of the team, subtly in the background, just hustling as like this ultimate team member, so that you can then have good people who want to do cool stuff bubble up to the surface and be better at what they do. So it's not, and so some of the managers are saying, well, I'm in charge of rebalancing all this workload. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you're doing you shouldn't do. So we look at all the things, what can you automate? What can you allow a machine to just do to not replace you? But imagine you have this guy working in the background. It allows you to scale and add more good people. So you're not taking jobs away, you're a job creation machine. So
well,
the digital workforce.
You got a butler.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is show up, and the butler will dress you for dinner, and you'll look like a rock star.
Yeah.
And the butler will probably interrupt you when you're saying something stupid.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is a simple concept, but we've lost our way.
Well, it is, and I'll bring it back full circle because I got to jump off here pretty soon. Pretty soon is the idea of brand to sales, and so we got deep into like what this robot does, what the software does. The reason it's exciting, the reason you and I talk a lot about this at warp speed in one breath, is that the rebalancing of the sales workload is also the rebalancing of the relationship between sales and marketing. There's a lot of chief marketing officers, but there's the CMO role, but you don't see a lot of CSO roles. You don't see a chief sales officer, because usually you've got your VPs of sales and that they really operate in two different ones. Mm-hmm. The role that we're seeing now is like the chief revenue officer, and that person usually is in charge of marketing and sales. The challenge between marketing and sales, marketing has been able to get all of these really cool tools. And the reason digital marketing is so prevalent right now is because the data is really meaningful. Sales is still this black hole. So you do all this great marketing work, and then it goes into the black hole of sales, and they make promises. And if they're good, most of the time they'll be able to live up to their promises, but you don't know for sure. So you take a risk trying to scale your efforts, hoping your team can do this. So you have all these inputs, not sure what the outputs are. So if this rebalancing of the sales workforce becomes now process and technology goes back into the organization, marketing and sales can get more further in alignment, because now you hire really good people, but you're not risking your business on the people. It's a really, really new way to do it, because now, and also you don't have to build a massive infrastructure. So we're going to be doing, actually, I didn't tell you about this, but we are in this like growth acceleration mode. Basix is crushing the market, but they're really kind of like in stealth mode right now. So we came up with an idea that because we want to build a services division, we want to scale this really quickly. We said, why don't we create an offer where we can, up to 10 reps for $5,000, we're going to consult you as well as launch you into the system in your first 30 days with almost like guaranteed results. So like rather than just buying software, we're going to consult you on your people, process, technology, do an audit. At the very least, you're going to come out on the other end with a very clear picture on what's possible for your organization. And we pretty much guarantee these guys are going to lock down for a long time using the software, because once they start using it, it's different than any CRM implementation. You can onboard in one day. Yeah. You can be up and running in a day.
Well, that's the whole point of a butler. You don't have to give a butler instructions. The butler watches you and learns you.
You hit start and you go, right? The system learns from what you do. So it's pretty exciting that way.
All right, so I'm going to mention Basix. You're also mentioned in the show notes, so that people can just click on your name in the show notes.
Yeah.
Click on Basix and check it out, and they can talk to you.
Yeah, and to be clear, Basix is a client of mine. So I'm a sales coach, but so I'm promoting this as an ambassador because I really believe in what they're doing. I mean, that's why you and I are working with them. It's cool, man. Jay is an awesome guy. We're trying to do some more stuff. We're doing some really cool partnership deals with other software companies, and it's fun, man.
I mean, truth is, people can click on my name too if they want, because I work with Jay as well. But I just think that you have a really cool perspective on this, and that's why I want to have you in, because I think this is a way bigger problem than sales. I don't agree with you that everybody else is doing this already. Nobody I've talked to.
No, I'm saying it's in other industries, but you're not hearing about it. Intelligent process automation is a big push right now. IBM, like the stuff we're reading is very nerdy. And so being like first mover into this very nerdy new evolution and being able to do it at a very cost-effective way without a massive infrastructure move, like it's huge.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm helping build the same sort of play to take down the amount of bureaucracy for another person. Yeah. And what I'm discovering in all my research is that companies are like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's snarled up in bureaucracy. Anyway, we both got to get off the phone.
Brother, peace, man.
Thank you so much, Joe. Now you're racked up to number 6 now. I think you're out in the lead. Keep bringing it.
G baby, all day.
Talk to you.
Bye, brother. Peace.
Bye.